Hello and welcome to Access Asia. I'm Nadia Sharbi, and here's what's coming up on this week's programme. On the margins of Hong Kong's pro-democracy protests, medics have been on hand to treat those injured in the rallies. We'll find out more about their covert support. You may have already used tiger balm to soothe headaches or back pain. And while you'd recognise its smell anywhere, do you know what it's made of? We'll get the recipe in this edition. And a blessing or a curse. The Filipino island of Siargao has just won a coveted accolade for its stunning landscapes. But can it handle the consequences of its newfound fame? For over 6 months now, Hong Kong's pro-democracy protesters have been taking to the streets in a sometimes violent face-off with police. At their side, volunteer medics provide frontline care to those injured in the clashes. Medical help that protesters avoid seeking elsewhere for fear of arrest. And the doctors themselves are also facing a crackdown by authorities. Arnaud Miguet and Gaël Caron from our sister channel France 2 followed these masked first aiders.
Night settles on Hong Kong after yet another day of protests. In the city's Mong Kok district, we meet two nurses. Their identities and the place of our meeting must be kept secret. They've been called in to look after this man who goes by the name of M, a pro-democracy protester who was beaten up by police 10 days ago.
Public hospitals aren't safe for us. Doctors will report us to the authorities, and then we'll be arrested.
Like him, dozens of protesters have turned to the Hidden Clinic, a clandestine network of volunteers who secretly treat the injuries of young demonstrators in the city.
Even though it's not in the hospital section, so we try our best to protect the area as no germs, no bacteria stir out as possible.
Patients get in touch via encrypted messaging apps, and volunteers come to look after them for free. M has a broken foot and open wounds, which must be cleaned regularly to prevent infections.
There's wounds like chemical burns, and also gunshot wound, and then some second-degree burn. About the polio escape, and they tried to escape polio from using rope. So they got laceration on the fingers, on the palms.
The Hidden Clinic and other networks say they've treated hundreds of protesters since demonstrations began 6 months ago. In this traditional medicine clinic, acupuncture is used to treat protesters with migraines and breathing problems. For volunteers, though, the risks are high. YC says he could lose his medical license if he got caught.
Team of my volunteering group, they got arrested for riots. Even in war zone, these doctors or nurses or first aid provider, they will not get arrested.
It's the end of a long night for the two secret nurses. Their last patient is this 15-year-old boy who calls himself Tin. He was shot in the head 2 weeks ago and would have died if it wasn't for the Hidden Clinic.
A very deep penetration by the rubber bullet, and here you can see a white area. That is the skull bone. Life isn't threatened, always, no matter we're under demonstration or not.
As the protests in Hong Kong show no sign of letting up, volunteers fear that the number of injured protesters will continue to rise, putting further pressure on underground clinics.
Now, rice is the main food staple for over 3 billion people, and Thailand is the world's second exporter. But drought and the overuse of pesticides are forcing a rethink of the country's cultivation methods. One not-so-new approach is making a comeback. The so-called intensive rice farming system that was pioneered in the 80s by a French Jesuit priest is proving both environmentally and financially sound. Take a look.
High in the mountains of northwest Thailand, these rice paddies are ready for harvest. But hopes aren't high for this year's produce. The country's seen both flooding and drought in just one summer. In the face of climate change, a new farming technique called SRI, or System of Rice Intensification, is starting to bear fruit. Frenchman Tristan Lecomte is encouraging rice producers to give it a go.
The SRI method is all about how we can produce rice Less water, less seeds, becoming less dependent on climatic issues, and multiplying production in a totally organic way.
The ears are planted further apart so that they receive more light, water and nutrients, and so produce more seeds. Sunan's harvest has seen a 40% boost.
We mustn't only think of money, but also concentrate on sustainability and health. Using chemicals in farming will destroy all the food's nutrients.
More than 2 million farmers have been trained in SRI across Southeast Asia, sometimes increasing their harvests threefold. But for Tristan, the most difficult task is to convince farmers to change their habits in one of the countries which uses the most pesticides in the world.
The main challenge comes from companies which make a lot of money from selling chemical products. They're against these cost-free techniques. The work itself is also more technical and laborious. You need to weed and plant the strands of rice one by one.
SRI allows rice producers, who often earn less than €100 per month, to cut back on spending on products like hybrid seeds and fertilizer.
I had around €3,000 in debts, but since I started farming organically, I've managed to pay it all off.
To break away from the vicious cycle of pesticides, the SRI technique is often combined with other methods. Around the farm, Tristan has planted trees to enrich the earth and replenish groundwater, and in doing so, lessen the effects of future droughts.
A go-to product for soothing joint and muscle pain, Tiger Balm is used across Asia and beyond, selling 60 million units a year. But what's inside those little glass pots? Well, the ointment's wintry camphor smell might provide a first clue. To find out more, Catherine Viette and Cold Strangler take us behind the scenes to the company's headquarters in Singapore.
It's a timeless product. Made of a mixture of natural ingredients, it's meant to treat the aches and pains of everyday life. Created by the brothers An Boon Par and An Boon Ha, Tiger Balm is based on an old family recipe. The ointment's known for its scent of camphor, menthol, and other essential oils, and it can be found in pharmacies as well as traditional Chinese shops. From blocked noses to body aches, people use it for whatever ails them.
It could be like a magical product. If I have a bite, mosquito bite, or if I have a headache, or if I have something like a cut or anything, I'll just use this. And it heals very fast.
The brand is a global success. From Vietnam to China, India, and the United States, where celebrities like Gwyneth Paltrow and Lady Gaga have endorsed it. Created to ease the aches of an emperor, the formula is a well-guarded secret kept at this factory. The director is giving a rare look behind the scenes at how Tiger Balm is made. The formula dates back to the 19th century.
When you have a good formula, you never change it. When you're working here, the smell of the camphor, menthol, and a Tiger Balm aroma will keep you healthy.
This laboratory is responsible for testing the purity of the essential oils used in production. It also customizes the recipe for different markets. In France, Tiger Balm contains 11% of camphor compared to the standard 25%.
We have 7 active ingredients put in Tiger Balm. The secret lies in how we blend it together.
The product's success has spawned many imitators, but there is only one Tiger Balm.
So if that hasn't dealt with all your aches and pains, perhaps a Thai massage will do the trick. The body-folding, sharp-elbowed techniques have been added to UNESCO's prestigious Intangible Cultural Heritage List, a historic moment, according to the organisation's Thai delegate. Nuad Thai, which directs blood circulation by targeting the body's acupressure points, actually originated in India before being practised in Thailand for centuries, and then popularised by a speciality training school in the 60s to travel to massage tables across the world. Well, after all that relaxation, how about heading off to the world's most beautiful island? That's the accolade awarded to Siargao in the Philippines by Condé Nast Traveller. The coveted title is bound to bring with it a wave of new tourists, but is the island prepared? That's the question Monty Francis looks into with this report.
You can only fully appreciate the majestic beauty of the island of Siargao in the Philippines from above. surrounded by turquoise and covered with a dense forest of palm trees. Recently named the most beautiful island in the world by Condé Nast Traveler, it has only one road and almost no internet. Its beauty remains wild and untouched. This is exactly what drew Mark Picutan to the island. He's a Filipino who grew up in Switzerland. He and his partner Iris run a small hotel with just 3 rooms. The hotel was designed to keep the property as self-sufficient as possible.
All of this reflects our desire to be environmentally friendly. As you can see, the roof is large. It hangs over the edge by 2 meters, so the sun never shines on the walls. So the rooms remain cool and there's no need for air conditioning.
For Mark, it's about balancing the development of tourism along with the deep respect of the island.
With our project, we're trying to protect nature and also to protect the lives of the local people. We're trying to prevent the tourism industry from having a bad effect on them.
That danger is real. This is the south of the island. For the last 2 years, small hotels and restaurants have sprung up one after another. For the moment, the situation is under control. But for the residents, the biggest fear is this: the island of Boracay, also in the Philippines. It was voted the most beautiful island in the world in 2016. Since, it has become overrun with waste. The island's infrastructure was not prepared for the influx of tourists and had to be closed for 6 months to be cleaned. The residents of Siargao want to avoid going down that same road. Each Saturday morning, dozens of people comb the beaches, picking up garbage. They collect about 50 kilograms of trash each week. Most of it is plastic. Siargao has decided to preserve its character, its nature, its way of life. With mass tourism knocking at its door, there's a delicate balance required, just as on a surfboard.
Well, that wraps up this edition of Access Asia. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to France 24.